Oh my goodness, this is a stinking amazing car. I've never really given this car a chance. And so here I am giving this car a really good chance. I did a test run of this race just before I made this video, and I just couldn't believe how I was able to keep pushing the braking points further and further forwards. And also, coming up here, we have to take a big off-track cut. This car handles very well off track. You might not know this, but cars are very different off track than they are on track. For instance, Formula One cars, incredible grip on track, and pretty easy to handle. Off track, they're kind of squirrely and hard to manage. And this car is actually pretty easy to drive off track. It keeps traction pretty well. I was really surprised. This corner here is usually a very difficult corner for me. I'm pretty comfortable taking it in this car. So this cut coming up, usually I wouldn't take it this way in a car like this. What I mean is, I'm going with the second light green point and going to the right of that barrier. I normally wouldn't do that in this type of car, only in Formula One cars. But I am able to do it in this car, and that's great because I'm getting a little bit more speed and a little bit more on-track driving, which is going to increase my fame per minute. I just did this on the Ferrari F40 LM and could not take, well, it was a different Silverstone variant, but it had that same corner, that same big cut, and I had to take it on the left side of the barrier, which means you're spending more time off track, and so it means you're slowing down more, and you're also getting less fame because when my distance marker is red, I earn nothing. And this is just blowing my mind. This is such an incredible car. And I am happy. We'll see. I'm pretty sure I've got a reasonable sense of the earnings here. Based on my first test, the earnings look decent. But here I'm driving faster. I'm doing better in this version. And we're going to get into several things. By the way, please like, please subscribe, please hit that little bell icon and all that jazz. I'd really appreciate it. Now, let's start talking about the costs. This race is in the exclusive series. Pretty well all races that pay you a good currency are. It's just the way it is. And it makes sense. You're paying more of a fee to have access to this race, so it makes sense that they're going to pay you better. So it's just the way it is. Oh well. And this is a great car. But anyway, let's take a look at what this car costs. The regular purchase price of this car is $650 gold, but it did have a special event that's already run twice, which was called Longtail Legacy. It was a track day event. I've got a playlist link for that one, and I'll put it at the end of this video. Let's take a look at the full upgrade costs. $1,485 gold and just over 2 million R dollars. And here you can see what the car's specs are at when you fully upgrade it. Those are some pretty nice looking specs. Now let's take a look at the exclusive series. You can see that there's some really good pay for this series, and that's not all. This car is in actually 3 other series, so there's a lot of opportunities to earn money with this car. Let's take a look at those other series. First, we have the International Super Coupe or Coupe A Challenge in the Elite Series. Then we have got the All British Battle, which is in Seasons, and also in Seasons we've got Beautiful Beasts, and there are other cars in those series as well. But still, nice chance to earn more currency once you've got this car. Next thing we need to talk about is assist settings, and that's pretty simple. Turn all of them off. If you're going to do this type of racing, you've got to have all of them off. Brake assist is always going to waste your time. It's always going to slow you down. Steering assist is going to be a big problem right coming up here when we go off track, because it's going to fight you to keep you on track. So you can't have either low or high on. And right there, I was losing traction a little bit. Traction control, also a mess. When it comes on, it stays on way too long. So honestly, the only assist I would ever say that it's okay to use everywhere in the game would be steering assist low, and that's if you're not going to go off track. Only exceptions to that for me are Indianapolis Motor Speedway and Daytona Motor Speedway. There I use steering assist high, believe it or not. Actually makes me faster. Everywhere else, no, makes you slower. So you got to turn those assists off and get used to that. Now let's get to the other thing, which is going to be my control options, because this is where you can help yourself in learning no assists if you want to. I use tilt B controls. I highly recommend that. I use sensitivity too. Sensitivity is a personal choice, really, kind of whatever works for you. Basically, when it comes to sensitivity, as you get up to 10, that is super sensitive. Small movements have huge reactions on track. 0, you need to move a lot to get the car to move a little, which means you can carry more speed through the corners because it's not as twitchy. And then tilt B, see right there, if you watch, you're gonna notice that I'm lifting off the throttle once in a while when I'm losing traction. Tilt B is awesome for that. You can regain control very quickly. I argue that it's better than Tilt A for those reasons. Now, I'm speaking from experience. My first 18 months in this game, I used Tilt A with all assists on. So I have made that transition. If you want to make the transition to no assist racing, I got a video for that. It's at the end of this video. I'll put the link there. It's very helpful. It kind of tells you how you turn them off in a certain order and adjust your steering sensitivity, increase it when you're first turning off steering assist, all that sort of jazz. Now, let's talk about this track, okay? So, doing a lap here, braking. So right here, I've got 2 tires off track. 2 tires off track is going to give you the worst braking distance, okay? Now, believe it or not, your best braking distance is all 4 tires off track. That's where you're gonna get maximum braking. Next is all 4 tires on track, and then lastly, 2 tires off track. So why would I ever take 2 tires off track heading into a braking point? The answer to that, trajectory, okay? It's all about trajectory. So now that I've said all that, let's watch. You're gonna notice that as I start this lap, oh, this guy's gonna be in the way a little bit probably. That'll be okay. So I've got 2 tires off track because I'm gonna start braking and get off the brakes. Like I'm on track for a little bit of that braking point, but the trajectory really helps me to get around this guy. Now watch this carefully. Okay, did you notice my left sides? Woo, that guy almost hit me. I didn't see that. Okay, anyway, my 2 tires stayed on the curb. I didn't go over into the grass because I needed maximum braking at that corner. So you got to make sure that the maximum you're doing is getting your left sides on the curb at that second corner. So we're going to go through this again, all right? First corner, this is actually Cop's corner. I'm off track and I just brake a little bit and then I'm powering through. Oh, I blew that braking point nicely, didn't I? Fabulous example, ME7. So this one's not going to matter as much, but I had all 4 tires on. This is an interesting corner. It's got a parabolic shape. I'm not saying parabolica, that's at Monza, but it's very similar. Those are very challenging corners, I find. Even this shape, this corner here is a bit parabolic, but you can really take this out nicely with that curb. You can have your left sides way into the grass with your right sides on the red. Now, again, this guy's probably going to be in my way. Ah, power. Oh, yeah, beautiful. Okay, so what I want to get into, though, is where my acceleration point is coming out of this. So right here, you see that red I just drove over? That's my acceleration point if you've got the right trajectory. So you'll notice that I take that corner pretty wide. By the way, I'm just hitting the perpetual point. Ooh, that's a ghost. Oh, nuts. Got to be careful with those ghosts, boys. You don't want to crash. You don't want to take on damage. You can't afford to do that in this race. It is difficult, but man, is it fun. Because Cop's corner is just fabulous in this car. Drifting a little bit, I don't want to do that. So again, let's watch this. Left side's on the curb a little bit, taking it wide, now getting to that red point and powering out of that corner beautifully. Sometimes I'm going to catch the draft. Now watching your right, light green, first one, second one I start turning to the left. In the Ferrari F40 LM, I was turning left right at the beginning of the first one. Oh, look at that, catching some draft, beautiful. I love drafting, I love that feature in this game. It definitely works, you definitely get more speed. We're gonna power through this nicely. A little bit of sketchiness, but I'm gonna catch you. Look at that. Look at the drafting here, isn't that awesome? Because, see now, you may not know this. This is the perpetual point. It happens after you pass 42 cars. Sometimes there's a big gap between the 42nd and 43rd car, but here we are. Now, after every single car from the 43rd car and on will be faster than a fully upgraded car. Watch out for that guy, that's a ghost. I passed him while I was off track. So how do I know that they're faster? Because if we exit a corner at the same time, you'll notice that they start to pull away from me even though I was into the throttle before them. So I'll be gaining on a bot and then he'll start pulling away from me. So that adds to the challenge a little bit, but bots suck at corners, even if I was taking them legitimately. There are some endurance races in this game, endless endurance races, where you never go off track. Indianapolis Motor Speedway is one of them, and Melbourne is another. And I'll throw up both links right here, actually, and see if I can get them at the end of the video. But I'm going to put the 2 links in the top right-hand corner here, and you can check those out. In fact, the one for the whatever it is now, the Ferrari 412. Gosh, I should look this up better, but the link's going to be there. It's the Indy cars. That one is really profitable too. It's actually a fun race, really profitable. And believe it or not, they actually do ding me for off-track driving. That's because the game considers, so as far as currency is concerned, earning currency, only 4 tires off track is going to ding me. You'll notice that it'll turn red. But then race damage that we see at the end of the races, that's calculated anytime you have any tire off track. So even if you have, so right there, I just got dinged for damage because I had 2 tires into the grass. Even if you only have 1 tire off track, it's gonna you'll lose some clean race bonus. So if you want full clean race bonus, you're gonna have to be a lot slower because you can never. Oh my gosh! The guy in that barricade must have just freaked out. I don't know if you know that. There's a guy in that barricade. He's catching me cutting, but I shouldn't have stayed on the throttle that much. That's gonna hurt my fame per minute a bit. Interestingly enough, when you hit walls fast, you don't get a cracked windshield. I probably didn't suffer any damage at all. There's in-race damage, 2 levels of damage, stage 1, stage 2. Both times you're going to lose acceleration, top speed, brakes, and grip. So once you get maximum damaged, it's a lot harder. Here, it'd be very hard. You can see this is still challenging. Now, this time around, instead of stopping at 50 kilometers, I'm going to take it to 60 because this is a shorter track, and also because I just had an accident. So I want to get more accurate fame per minute. I'm pretty happy with my performance here, and having a couple of mistakes in an endless endurance race is realistic, so I don't mind including 1 major mistake. Otherwise, I've been doing really good. Oh, look at this, I'm gonna catch the draft. Oh, that's awesome. He'll tow me, I'll follow him right up till I get to the bridge here. Then I'm gonna take my off-track cut. Beautiful, I avoided the barricade that time. Oh, and they gotta watch out for that guy. You gotta know where the bots want to drive. That's very important. I don't know if you can notice that. I know where they want to drive. So when I'm going around that corner, if I'm passing the bot earlier, I know that if I'm inside enough, I can get around him. If I'm passing him a little bit later in that corner, I know I need to be very far on the outside with my right sides fully onto the red. We're coming back to that point again, so I'll make reference to it in a few seconds here. And so you'll see if you watch my gas pedal, there, little lift. Okay, let's watch this. So look on the far left here. Woo, okay. Okay, anyways, you can have your right sides all the way into that red, and it's not off track as far as currency earnings is concerned. You need to do that if you're gonna pass a bot right there. Or if you've got a ghost bot that's slowly disappearing. And so just learn where bots wanna drive so you can either, so you don't drive there when you're encountering them. So, and that pretty much covers what I've got to say about my driving tips at this track. It's a pretty good endurance race. A few people know that I don't like this variant when it comes to endurance races because I've had trouble here. Like the Pagani Huayra, it's a pretty good earning car at this track. It's on par with the Ferrari FXXK at Porsche short track, even a little bit better. But I have a lot of trouble doing that race, so I just don't do it. Maybe now I've drifted in that whole corner. I honed my skills a little bit better. Now this is getting very close to ending, so I better tell you what I'm going to do. Once I hit the 60 kilometer mark, you're going to see a little freeze frame, and that's where I'm going to stop the race. So after I hit that mark, I'll turn around, come back, and end it right at 60 kilometers. I'm not going to make you watch all of that because I'm probably going to have like 50 to 70 seconds to waste. And there's no use wasting your time with that. But you'll see in the end screen that I did end at 60 kilometers. And then based on that, I can figure out the fame per minute, which is the most important number when you're doing endless endurance racing for currency purposes. Now, if you're doing this to earn currency, you need to be hiring the agent and the manager, and you need to make sure you're doing it on a bigger bonus fame day, or even a big bonus R day if you want R currency. Like 180% bonus R day with the manager hired gives you a 5.6 times multiplier, okay? If you did this on 100% bonus fame day with the agent hired, that gives you a 4.0 times multiplier on your fame. So it's much more worthwhile on those days. Now we're coming up on 60 kilometers very soon, and you'll see a little freeze frame, and then we'll move right to those numbers like I mentioned. And freeze frame, let's warp ahead. All right, so actual race time, 15 minutes, 16 seconds. Using that, I can figure out my R per minute, and I'm removing the friends bonus. So 4,858 R per minute and 740 fame per minute. That makes this a great farming race. It's a little more challenging, and you might like it for a change. Thanks for joining me today. Check out some other videos.